Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Unpopular Opinions with me, Randy Prizzle. How you guys all doing out there? Everything good, shway, crispy, irie. But anyways, let me stop waffling on. Been a long night, lackluster sleep, all of that. But let's get into this episode of Unpopular Opinions. Gaming has become, let's repeat that again, rewind. Gaming hasn't become boring as you reach your 30s. It's just that the gaming industry is lackluster these days. I feel like certain games can be repetitive within the industry. I feel like certain games you do play don't seem to have an end goal, where the end goal just seems the same as like any other game does. I do think there is a lack of invention when it comes to creating new games, but it depends what genre of games you generally like. Some people just like to shoot 'em up games, so they're happy to continue playing Call of Duty, all of those games time and time again. For me, I do find them quite repetitive and quite boring, to be honest. And people always say, oh, it's just because you get shot a lot, or you die a lot, or you get shot, my friend. They pop you in the head like a couple of times, and you just can't get back up. Well, every time you respawn, they come back and hit you harder. Probably that too, you know what I mean? I do suck at those games, I'm not gonna lie. But I do find them repetitive as well. I just see it and I say, there's no real end goal here. Just to get a trophy, just to go, wow, an invisible trophy, silver or gold or whatever. It's not real. It's not right there in your face and make you go, yes, like you're lifting the World Cup. So for me, I'm not too fussed about it. But I hear what they're saying about the gaming industry. I do feel like sometimes some games, if you play them that's very mentally stimulating, can actually keep you engaged and keep you entertained. Do you know what I mean? Beat 'em up games. Sometimes you just want a bit of a fighting game, just to keep you engaged, just to keep you motivated. Probably when you've come back from work and you've had a hard day, you switch that game on. You're ready to go to war, or you're ready for action. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think that games in general, the industry, I think it's a bit of both. I think some people just haven't found the way to invent some new games to keep us all engaged, but at the same time, some games can be repetitive. So I think it's a bit of both. Next one. We should own cars until it dies and let the industry suffer. I think owning cars, obviously, it takes a lot to maintain a car now. Obviously, if you're living here in the UK or anywhere else, it's very, very difficult with the prices skyrocketing each year, price of petrol, to maintain a car if it breaks down, MOT, all of that. Do you know what I mean? Even if the ULEZ as well, all of those things, if you're passing through cams, you have to pay for that. It's big, big money business here in terms of owning a car. It's too much. Do you know what I mean? I'm not someone that's in a place that can afford a car right now. And I live in London, so it's easy to travel and commute from here to there for me. We've got buses, we've got trains, you know what I mean? We've got bikes, not motorbikes, I'm talking about actual cycling. You know what I mean? We've got those things that are accessible in this country. So for me, I don't need to own a car. You know what I mean? It's one of those things is obviously, if the price is right, then yes, potentially I can do all that stuff, but it's not. So, next one. Parents who cry in the doctor's office because their kids are getting shot, are doing it for attention. I don't think so. I think it's like a thing where they feel what the child is feeling. You know, if your child is obviously going to get jabbed for the first time and they're in a bit of pain, obviously the way the adult expresses their pain is to feel that pain through their child. You don't want to see your child getting hurt, especially even if it's a little jab or whatever. Those jabs can feel like they're getting punched up or something. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that could be very heart-wrenching for someone who obviously sees their child going through something like that. So I disagree with that comment. Let's move on to the next one. Asking why after being rejected isn't a red flag. I think it's clear and obvious, to be honest. You know, I don't think it's a red flag, it's an obvious flag. That's what I'm saying. You don't need to ask why when you've got rejected. I know people want feedback, but sometimes the best feedback is no feedback. When you get no feedback, that person is generally not interested. Do you know what I mean? Or they probably have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, whatever their preference is. And that's just what it is. You just have to accept it, and move on. There are plenty more fishes in the sea. Like the Street song said, dry your eyes, mate. I know it's hard to take, but her mind has been made up. Plenty more fish in the sea. So people need to understand there are plenty more fishes out there. You can even go on the site, POF, plenty of fish, and find yourself some fish to swim in. Do you know what I mean? Go and dive in that ocean and then find your way like Nemo and that, But anyways, next thing. Alcohol is not an excuse for your awful behavior in any capacity. I do feel like the juice can get you loose. The juice does bring out the truth in you, I do believe, and I do think that some people can't handle the juice. And if you can't handle the juice, don't drink too much of the juice. You know what I'm saying? I think certain people have a tolerance level to alcohol. And if your tolerance level is very low, you probably shouldn't be drinking excessively. That's just what I'm thinking. Some people can handle. I've seen some people drink like a fish and then they're okay. They're just walking casually, they're talking to people casually, and they're fine. And you're like, whoa, how did you just drank like a liter of like Malibu and a couple of Jack Daniels and you're okay? What? So some people's tolerance level are able to handle that. But if your tolerance level is in the gutter, do not be drinking like that, because it's a thing where your behavior is going to tell on you. You know what I mean? You're going to wake up the next day and just be blacked out. What happened? Well, I'll tell you what happened. You effed up. Do you know what I mean? You got yourself into serious situations you shouldn't have been getting yourself into. But because you couldn't handle your juice, you moved quite mad. So in general terms, I wouldn't say it's an excuse. I think certain people's level that they're drinking at should be monitored, in terms of where, if you know that that's something that can drive you over the edge, make you forget, make you not know where you was, don't drink excessively. That's just my thoughts on that. But that's all for this episode of Unpopular Opinions, guys. Big yourselves up, first time watchers, seasoned watchers, all of the above. You know what to do below if you're feeling this episode or any of the previous episodes. Subscribe to me, tell people all about your boy Randy Prizzle. And you know what we usually do when I finish? I'll give my opinions and I'll react later on. Let's go.